Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. Thanks so much for joining us today.
We're all about reflecting the timeless truth of the Bible through the lens of today's world, making it relatable, understandable, and alive for your everyday life.
We're excited to dive into today's verses with fresh insights. Let's jump right in.
Imagine you've been at your company for 14 years. You were the first hire. You've built the systems, you've pulled the all-nighters, and because of your work, the CEO is now a billionaire. But here's the kicker. Your bank account is at zero. You have no 401k, no health insurance, and every time you ask for a raise, your boss, who also happens to be your father-in-law, reminds you that he's family and that you should just be grateful for the opportunity.
That sounds like a literal nightmare, John, like a corporate hostage situation.
It is, and that is exactly where we find Jacob in Genesis 30. He is the MVP of Laban and Sons, but he's essentially working for room and board while his boss gets fat off the land. Welcome to the Great Breakout.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm John, and today we are diving into one of the most relatable and honestly, one of the most office drama-filled sections of the Bible. We're in Genesis 30 and 31.
It really does feel like an episode of a reality show, doesn't it? Last time, we saw Jacob finally finish his 14 years of bride price service. He's got the wives, he's got the 11 sons, plus Joseph just arrived on the scene. But as he looks around at this massive family, he realizes he has absolutely no startup capital to take back to the promised land.
Exactly. He's the rich patriarch on paper, but he's broke in his pockets. He goes to Laban and basically says, "Look, I've been your best employee. Your net worth has exploded since I got here. It's time for me to provide for my own house." And Steph, this is where we see the quintessential worldly boss move from Laban.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the name your price trap. Laban says, "Name your wages and I will give it." It sounds so generous on the surface, right?
Oh, totally. It's the let's do lunch and talk about your future move when you know the company is about to go through a merger. Laban isn't being nice. He's desperate. He actually admits, and this part is wild, that he's been using divination to figure out why he's so rich. He's been reading his corporate tea leaves, and they all say the same thing. Jacob is the reason you're winning.
Wait, divination? Like, was he actually consulting fortune tellers or tarot cards?
The Hebrew word is a bit debated, but it basically means he was seeking omens. He's a polytheist. He's got his household gods, and he's figured out that the God of Jacob is the secret sauce to his business success. He's a parasite, Steph. He's clinging to Jacob's blessing because he knows once Jacob leaves, the magic goes with him.
That's such a heavy dynamic. It's not just a boss and an employee, it's uncle and nephew, it's father-in-law and son-in-law. There's no HR department in Haran, John. Jacob is triangulated. If he leaves, he's not just quitting a job, he's abandoning his family's primary provider. But he knows he has to go. So he makes this, honestly, it sounds like a terrible deal for Jacob.
Right? Jacob says, "I don't want a salary. I don't want a lump sum. Just let me go through the flocks today and pull out every sheep that's black and every goat that's speckled or spotted." Now, for our listeners who aren't sheep experts, which, let's be real, is all of us, in that part of the world, sheep were almost always white, and goats were solid black or brown.
So he's asking for the misfits, the genetic anomalies?
He's asking for the rejects. Historians say these multicolored animals probably only made up about 1 to 2% of the total flock. It's like saying, "I'll work for free, but I get to keep all the pennies I find on the sidewalk that were minted in 1943.
And Laban is probably over there thinking, this kid is a genius at herding, but a moron at business. He agrees immediately.
He's practically sprinting to sign the contract. He thinks he's just secured another 20 years of elite labor for the price of a few genetic accidents. But then, and this is why Laban is the villain of this segment, he doesn't even play fair with the pennies on the sidewalk.
This part always makes my blood boil. As soon as they shake on it, Laban goes behind Jacob's back. He takes all the existing spotted and speckled animals, the ones that were supposed to be Jacob's starting capital, and he gives them to his own sons to hide 3 days' journey away.
It's a total breach of contract before the ink is even dry. He's removing the seed of Jacob's future wealth. He's making sure that there is zero chance for Jacob's reject animals to mate with his prime solid-colored animals. He's essentially saying, "You can have the commission, but I'm deleting all your leads from the CRM and blocking your access to the office."
And imagine Jacob's face when he realizes the pasture is empty. He's been working for this man for 14 years. He's married to his daughters, and his own father-in-law is actively trying to bankrupt him before he even starts. It's so toxic.
It really is. But here's the thing about Jacob. He's a fellow traveler who knows how to survive. He doesn't complain. He doesn't file a lawsuit, mostly because, again, no HR. He just gets to work. He decides to hack the system using what he knows about animal husbandry, even if it looks like absolute DIY science to us today.
Oh, we are definitely getting into the peeled rods in the next segment. But John, before we take a break, I want to ask the big question. Why did God let this go on for 20 years? 14 years of service, and then another 6 of this cat and mouse game. Jacob is the one with the blue checkmark promise from Bethel, right? Why the struggle?
That is the question, Steph. And I think it's because God was teaching Jacob that his prosperity didn't come from his own trickster ways, but from God's defensive love. Jacob needed to see that Laban could rig the game 10 different ways, but God owns the scoreboard.
God owns the scoreboard. I like that. It's like, even in a toxic workplace where the boss is changing your KPIs every Friday afternoon, there's a higher authority watching the clock.
Exactly. Laban thought he was the CEO, but he was really just a middle manager in God's bigger plan to build the nation of Israel.
All right, we are going to take a quick breather. When we come back, we're going to talk about Jacob's mad scientist moment with the tree branches and why your high school biology teacher might have some questions about Genesis 30.
Stick around. It gets weirder, and then it gets better. We'll be right back. And we are back. If you're just joining us, we are in the middle of a first-century corporate thriller. Jacob has been quiet quitting. Well, not really. He's been working harder than ever. But he's finally realized his boss, Laban, is never going to let him win fairly.
Quiet quitting in a tent. I love it. But seriously, John, we have to get into the peeled rods thing, because if you just read the ESV text at face value, it looks like Jacob has lost his mind. He takes these branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, peels white stripes into them, and then sticks them in the watering troughs where the animals mate.
It sounds like a life hack from a very questionable corner of the internet, right? One weird trick to double your flock size. Laban hates him. But here's the modern mirror for our listeners today. Have you ever been in a situation where the system is rigged against you? Maybe it's a job where the promotion criteria keep changing, or you're a freelancer and the client keeps moving the goalposts. What do? You start looking for a workaround. You start looking for a way to hack the system because the front door is locked.
That is so relatable. I think a lot of us have felt that desperation. But John, let's talk about the science here, because our modern ears hear peeled branches make spotted goats, and we think, wait, that's not how biology works. Was Jacob just superstitious?
That's the hidden gem of this whole story. So, in the ancient Near East, there was this belief called sympathetic magic, or prenatal influence. Basically, people thought that whatever a mother looked at while she was, well, conceiving, would show up on the baby. So Jacob is thinking, if the goats look at stripes, they'll make striped babies.
Okay, but we know that isn't true. My mom looked at a lot of 80s wallpaper, and I didn't come out with floral patterns.
Exactly. And the Bible actually winks at us about this later. If you jump ahead to Genesis 31, Jacob has a dream where an angel pulls back the curtain. The angel says, "Look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are already streaked, speckled, or spotted." Translation: Jacob, you can peel all the sticks you want, but I'm the one editing the DNA in the background.
Oh, I love that. So God was honoring Jacob's hustle, even though Jacob's science was totally off. It's like when we try so hard to fix a situation with our own 5-step plans or our vision boards, and God is like, I'll let you keep the sticks, but I'm the one doing the heavy lifting.
It's a divine system hack. Jacob is using the best knowledge he has, his DIY science, but God is the one overriding the recessive gene mathematics to make sure Jacob gets his fair share. And get this, Jacob wasn't just doing this randomly. The text says he only used the rods when the stronger animals were breeding. He was essentially doing the first recorded instance of selective breeding. He ended up with the Tesla version of the flock, while Laban was left with the clunkers.
The Tesla version of the flock. But wait, John, this had a massive ripple effect in the office. In Genesis 31, it says the vibe totally shifts. Laban's sons start whispering by the water cooler. They're saying, Jacob has taken everything that was our father's. Everything that was our father's. Talk about a toxic workplace. It's the blame game.
It's total character assassination. Laban's net worth is still huge because of Jacob, but he's salary shaming his top performer because he can't stand seeing Jacob win. And this is the part that hits home for a lot of people. Jacob notices that Laban did not regard him with favor as before. The Hebrew there suggests the face of Laban had changed. The mask of the friendly uncle was off, and the face of the exploiter was all that was left.
That's when God finally gives the order. He tells Jacob, "Return to the land of your fathers, and I will be with you." But John, Jacob doesn't just run. He has a town hall meeting with his wives, Rachel and Leah. And this part is so interesting. He finally vents. He tells them, "Your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times.
10 times! Can you imagine your boss coming into your office every 2 months and saying, "Hey, I know we agreed on a 5% commission, but starting today it's 2%. Also, you owe me for the coffee you drank?" Laban was the ultimate gaslighter. He kept changing the rules so Jacob could never actually cross the finish line.
But Rachel and Leah's response is what really surprised me. They don't defend their dad. They basically say, "Is there anything left for us in our father's house? He's treated us like strangers and sold us." They felt commodified. It's a total family breakdown. They realize that Laban isn't a family man. He's a money man.
And that's the reality of a toxic environment. Eventually, the people inside see the truth. Jacob isn't the thief. Laban is the hoarder. Jacob's wealth wasn't stolen from Laban. It was restored to Jacob by God.
So they decide to make their break. But it's a midnight flight. They wait until Laban is out shearing sheep, which is like the busiest week of the year for a farmer, and they just vanish. And that is where the real drama starts, because Rachel does something, well, she borrows something she definitely shouldn't have.
Oh, the stolen gods. If you think a workplace dispute is bad, wait until you add grand larceny of religious artifacts to the mix. It's about to get very intense.
Grand larceny of household gods. That's a headline. All right, we are going to take one last break. When we come back, we'll talk about why Rachel stole those teraphim. Spoiler, it's not because she liked the decor. And we'll unpack the Mizpah blessing that might not be as sweet as you think it is.
We are heading for the final showdown. Don't go anywhere. We are back in 2 minutes. And we are back from our final break. If you've been following along, Jacob has just pulled off the ultimate midnight move. He's packed up his 11 sons, his 4 wives, all those Tesla-grade spotted sheep, and he is hightailing it toward the promised land while Laban is busy at a sheep-shearing festival.
It's like leaving your keys on the desk and blocking your boss on everything before he gets back from vacation. But John, we have to talk about the crime that happened during the move. Rachel, Jacob's favorite wife, sneaks into her dad's tent and steals his household gods, the teraphim. To a modern reader, it looks like she just wanted some souvenirs, but this was actually a huge legal power play, wasn't it?
Oh, this is the core for today. We have to look at the hidden gem of the Nusi tablets. Archaeologists found these ancient clay tablets that explain the laws of Laban's neighborhood. And get this, in that culture, if you possess the family's household gods, you possess the legal right to the inheritance.
Wait, so they weren't just statues? They were basically the deeds to the house?
Exactly. Rachel wasn't being superstitious. She was being strategic. She felt like her father had cheated them out of their inheritance, so she took the legal documents to make sure Laban couldn't cut them off later. It's like stealing the password to the family's offshore bank account because you know the patriarch is planning to write you out of the will.
That changes everything. But Jacob has no idea she did this. So when Laban finally catches them 3 days later in the mountains of Gilead with a small army, he's furious. Not just that they left, but that his gods are gone. And Laban does what every toxic boss does. He tries to take the moral high ground. He says, "I would have given you a party. I would have kissed my grandkids goodbye."
Yeah, right. I was going to give you a gold watch and a retirement cake. I swear. Meanwhile, he has an army behind him. But God intercepts Laban in a dream and says, "Don't you dare say a word to Jacob, good or bad." This is God acting as the security detail for the covenant family.
And then we get the exit interview of the century. Jacob finally snaps. After 20 years of being the perfect employee, he lays it all out. He says, "I bore the loss of every animal. I worked in the scorching heat and the freezing frost. You changed my wages 10 times. You can just feel the 2 decades of suppressed frustration coming out in one long, righteous rant.
It's the I quit speech we all wish we could give, he says. If the God of my father, the fear of Isaac, had not been on my side, you would have sent me away empty-handed. And that title, the fear of Isaac, is so powerful. It's a reminder that God isn't just a buddy. He's the overwhelming force that keeps bullies like Laban awake at night.
So, how do they settle it? Because they aren't exactly going to hug it out and go to brunch. They build a heap of stones, right? Gilead. And they set up a pillar called Mizpah.
This is our hidden gem word study for the day. Mizpah. Most people know this from jewelry or cards that say, "May the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from another." It sounds like a sweet long-distance relationship blessing, right?
I literally have a Mizpah keychain from high school. Is it not a blessing?
In context, it's a restraining order. Laban and Jacob basically say, look, I don't trust you, and you definitely don't trust me. So we're going to let God be the security guard at this border. If you cross this line to hurt me, or if I cross it to hurt you, God's going to take care of it. Mizpah means watchtower. It's not a kiss on the cheek. It's a don't come back to the office agreement.
So, the Bible's first Mizpah was a non-compete clause. That is so wild, but it's also beautiful in a way. It's God honoring a healthy boundary. Sometimes making it right with a toxic person doesn't mean staying in the relationship. It means letting God watch the situation while you walk away into your future.
Boom. That's the bottom line. Jacob started with a staff and ended with a nation. Not because he was the best hacker, but because he was the one God chose to defend.
I love that. Well, that wraps up day 11. What a journey. We've gone from a toxic workplace to a midnight breakout to a divine restraining order.
Here is your text message summary for today. Laban can change the rules 10 times, but he can't change God's promise. When the system is rigged, God is the one who hacks the code to bring you home.
Your action step for today. Look at a boundary you've been afraid to set. Remember the watchtower. You don't have to be the one watching the other person's behavior. You can leave that to God and focus on the promised land in front of you.
We'll see you tomorrow for day 12, where things get even more intense. Jacob is about to meet the brother he cheated 20 years ago. Esau is coming, and he's got 400 men with him.
Oh boy, the family reunion from hell. We'll see you then. That's a wrap on today's podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us and diving deep with us.
We truly value your time and love walking through these chapters together. Your support means the world.
If you've enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a day. Drop a comment below. We'd absolutely love to hear how Modern Mirrors is opening your eyes to the text in fresh ways.
Join us tomorrow for another inspiring journey into the Word of the Lord. Until then, God bless you abundantly.